Thanks for tuning in to Off the Wall. I'm your host, Joshua Wall, and joining me on today's episode is Andrew Schwalm from Desjardins Insurance. Andrew, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Josh. I'm looking forward to it.
So, first things first, who's Andrew?
It's a good question. One, I'm a good friend of yours, thankfully. But a little bit about myself is I'm a family man. I'm happily married to my wife, Sarah. We're going to be celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. We got our little guy, Miles, who's 6, about to turn 7, and we got our not so much of a puppy anymore that comes into the office at Desjardins, Rollins, who's going to be 10 this year. Our house is in Hamilton. This is where I was born and raised, but I do travel every day out to Brantford, to my second home on Brant Avenue, where my office is located. So a couple cool cities that I'm associated with.
So, I've always known you as the insurance guy. And have you always been in insurance?
I've always been in financial services. So my schooling, I went to school in Michigan, a school called Northwood University. And was lucky enough to play baseball down there. And my major was banking and finance with a minor in accounting. When I came out of school, I worked for the Royal Bank for a number of years, continued in the mortgage industry, and then got the opportunity to go to Desjardins. So long story short, I've always been in financial services, always had a passion for it. And I'm kind of locked in to do it for the rest of my career, which I'm good with, of course.
And is that what you always saw yourself doing?
When I was young, funny enough, I loved math, always been a numbers guy. I think it attracted me to baseball, being a numbers sport. But when I was young, I distinctly remember a conversation at the family table where I was like, Mom, Dad, what's a career that I could do that involves math? And they mentioned accounting. So my whole life, I was always like, I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to be an accountant. And like I said, I had my minor in accounting and I enjoyed it. But yeah, I kind of went a different path with an opportunity at the bank. So I guess.
So,
Yeah.
random question. Have you always worked in then the financial industry? You never worked at a Burger King or a factory or shoveling snow?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Like we almost set this one up. Living in Hamilton, one of my summer jobs when I was in university was at Taylor Steel. So I always think it's kind of a rite of passage growing up in the steel city to kind of work down there. And it was great. It was hard work, and it's definitely an experience that I think shaped me and gave me an appreciation for a lot of the blue collar work that happens, right?
That's fantastic. So
Yeah,
let's dive in to Desjardins. So
sure.
how'd you get started?
Ye-
Elaborate on what you do. I think a lot of people know, essentially what insurance is, but
Yep,
what kind of different insurance packages do you offer? Why do you offer it? And ultimately, right now, during what's going on in the world, how are you doing things differently?
sure. Yeah, there's a lot to that question there, Josh. Yeah. Is it cool? I'll start with how I got involved with Desjardins.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure we're all familiar with social media, which I think this will probably land on at some point. I actually got a message through LinkedIn on a Friday afternoon, and it was State Farm at the time. State Farm has become Desjardins over the past few years. And I got a message on LinkedIn for an opportunity to run my own business and to be an entrepreneur. That's something that I always look forward to throughout my career, but just wanted to wait for the right opportunity. I thought about it over the weekend, responded, things happened relatively quickly, and a year and a half later, I was opening up my own agency. Um, so that's how I landed there. What we offer, I think certainly people know that we do home and auto insurance. That's kind of like the engine of what we do, and it's the introduction to a lot of our clients as they reach out to us for those needs. But what they find is we do things a little bit differently, and we like to help out on a broader spectrum. And we have the opportunity to do that through all the products that are available to us. So, in addition to home and auto, we do business insurance, but we also offer the full suite of financial services, such as life insurance. Going back to some of that blue collar work, or in the trades, we do disability insurance, critical illness insurance. We do investments, which I love. So, young families or families that are, in similar situations that Sarah and I find ourselves in, I'm able to help navigate through some of their financial needs. And the last thing that we offer, and it's just sort of gaining some traction, surprisingly, through the pandemic, is we do vehicle financing as well, which ties in pretty cool to the auto insurance. And just quickly, I know this is a long answer, but you ask how we're doing things differently in light of what's happening in the world today. I guess long story shorter, if I to answer how we do things differently is, and not to say that most people don't, but we care about our clients, and we've never been a sales driven culture in my agency. We certainly want to expand our client base, but we genuinely care. So we spend a lot of time right now, and we've been doing it for a couple months, is we're calling every one of our clients to see how they're doing, to review their policies, see how we can help out. And in some cases, or in a lot of cases, sadly, it's working through maybe some billing issues, or, hey, I want to look at my coverage because this is how my life has changed, maybe work wise, or I now know things are a little more fragile than what I thought they were before. So that's served us very well, and we'll always continue to work that way. But certainly, we hope that things kind of clear up and the pandemic takes a hike sometime soon.
So tell me about your office there on Brant Ave. You were saying, things are different. You're doing things mostly remotely right now, I imagine.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm at home today, and I made the move to just set up outside. But yeah, so our office, we're at 53 Brant Avenue, and we are open, and we're following all the protocols. But in order to keep the team safe and staff safe, is we're splitting up the time that we have in the office. So we have enough space in there that if we have, two people in the office at a time, we can maintain the right distance. And then we're fortunate enough that we have the capability to work from home. So we're equipped with laptops and phones. We can get phone calls at home, and just taking advantage of all the wonderful technology that's available to us.
So I've got some questions about your team. Specifically, how many people do you employ?
I employ 3, and I would say 4 if you include the dog that I bring into the office every day. He's not on the payroll, but he's certainly an important part of the team.
Your team is also a part of a bigger Desjardins family.
That's right. Yeah. So Desjardins, of course, is a major corporate entity. So they have lots of facets from, their Caisse Populaire in Quebec. They do mortgages, and they do financing. A lot of people I speak to, they're like, hey, I bought furniture through Leon's, and they did the financing through Desjardins, and they treated us very well. So when I thought about insurance, I called you. So Desjardins is very big. They're very focused on growth in the insurance sector, as evidenced by purchasing State Farm Canada, and getting their name all over every State Farm agent's office is now Desjardins. But they are an absolute amazing company. Their focus on the business, what they've done to help out clients throughout the pandemic, just understanding people aren't driving as much. They just automatically twice last year provided a rebate to every single auto client across Canada, or in the provinces where we operate. So I find their mindset is very similar to mine in how my team and I work. So
I'm learning so much here today, and I think our audience is as well, because this is not at all what I thought it was,
yeah,
now what it is. So
sure.
walk me through.
Yep.
I walk into your office. I'm 20 years old, just started a job at a factory. I've got car insurance maybe with somebody else, but
Yeah.
I heard from a friend. I just had to come in and talk to you. How does
Okay.
that conversation go?
Yeah. Well, I would say very first part of the conversation is just getting to know the client, right? And even understanding just how much time they have, right? Some people are tight with time, but I like to get to know everyone as they come in, understand maybe how they came, right? Hey, who was your friend that referred you over? Wonderful. I have to send them a thank you because referrals are such an integral part of our business, and I'm very thankful for every referral. And then it's just going through the needs. So it's never a process where, again, I always lean on we're not a sales culture, but it's understanding what the client needs. What is it that you're looking for? I'm looking for auto insurance. So, okay, tell me a little bit about what you have right now. What's led you to come to me? And it's just that going through that active listening process so that I can match up what I'm able to offer to what the client is looking for.
So I might throw you a curveball here, but I want to give you an
Okay.
opportunity to be able to entice people of why they should have a conversation with you. So that's kind of my question. If I'm
Yeah.
just sitting at home and I'm listening to this show right now, why do I want to call you? What are you going to do that's going to make my life better or easier or, impact my life substantially?
Man, that's a great curveball, but I I think I can answer it. My goal, and even just looking at my role as an insurance agent, is it's very important is that I have to give people peace of mind, right? And I think a lot with the insurance industry is very driven by um, not taking the time to understand what clients need, and it's very much here's your policy, but yet you just receive a phone book in the mail that you have no idea what it means, where I take the time to go through each and every coverage so that you fully understand what you're covered for, um, and so that you have that peace of mind. And that's the ultimate idea with insurance, is that if something happens, I'm going to be covered. And a very simple example is, you may put it, I just put decals on my truck. If you decal your vehicle, it may impact your insurance and whether or not you would be covered for a claim down the road. So if you're insured as a personal policy, that may be viewed as a commercial with your current provider. Those are the types of details that I'll go through so that you never have to worry. And I put that on two sides. I say, I want to give my clients peace of mind, but important for me, and I would say this is even more important, is that for myself and my team, we have to have peace of mind that our clients are looked after, and they're never going to call us and have that experience where they're not covered for something, or they were just didn't have the opportunity to learn about their policy.
That's great. That I don't think you could have explained it better. And I think it's a perfect segue into the next section of our episode. So
Okay.
for anybody who's been watching or listening, every episode has a theme. And I like to sit down and kind of think about what the theme for each of my guests is going to be, so that it gives them an opportunity to be able to talk about how what they do is really shaped by that. And
Sure.
the theme for our episode is planning ahead. In my own business, I know that I have to track. everything I'm doing, whether I'm tracking my phone calls or my appointments, or I have to make sure that I have a plan, because the worst plan is no plan. And I think your whole business is based around planning ahead. So share with us some of your wisdom, share with us some of your knowledge. Why is it so important that we plan ahead?
Um, I'll just ask one question before I answer that. Do you mean from people's perspective, why you need to plan ahead, or for like my business perspective?
I would say both. I think that, insurance is planning for something that may never happen,
Sure.
or yeah, in your own words.
Yeah. Um, well, I think from a business perspective, if I answer that first, is just, I always have to look forward to see the changing landscape and things that are happening, right? And you can never predict the future, but you need to have a pulse on your business to see where things may go, right? And in case in point, where we're spending a lot of time just calling our clients just to make sure everyone's on the up and up, and everyone knows what they have, and everyone's comfortable with their coverages. And that's kind of that planning ahead, so that should anything happen, everything is good. From a client's perspective, I think it's super important. Like just insurance in general, like you said, is you don't know what's going to happen down the road. So you need to a certain degree, and everyone has varying levels, you need to protect yourself from the unknown. So, I mean, home and auto insurance is something that everyone needs, right? You need it to drive your car down the road. You need to have insurance on your home if you have a mortgage. But stuff like, you know, life insurance or investments or those sorts of things are very important, right? Because you know what, unfortunately, tough things do happen, and it could, not having those things in place, depending on your situation, could make a very tough time even more difficult. So I always have those conversations at very least, just to say, hey, have you put a plan in place, or are you interested in discussing a plan? And if someone's not interested, they're not interested, right? But at least if I um, ask the question, educate the clients, or our clients, or whoever I'm speaking to, educate them on their options, then they can determine if that's something that um, would help them, God forbid something were to happen.
Best plan is a plan.
Is a plan. Simple. Yeah, I guess I could have saved myself a few minutes there in responding to
No, your explanation was great, Andrew. Thank you for
yeah,
sharing.
no problem.
So the next part of the episode, every episode, I like to give people like yourself an opportunity to give a shout out to a local organization or initiative that's making an impact in the community, and how you're involved and how our listeners and watchers can get involved.
Sure. Yeah. And I love that you include this, because it's super important to everything I do. I believe in the karmic wheel, and doing good things will always come back to you. So when I first landed in Brantford with my agency, one of the first things I had done was just to see how can I help out in the community. And I was fortunate enough to meet a lady very early on that introduced me to the Rotary Club of Brantford. I went to a meeting there, met some incredible people, and I was immediately able to start giving back to the community through the different events that they do, the fundraisers, and just generally opportunities pop up all the time to help out. So I'd love to give a huge shout out to the Rotary Club of Brantford. There's one that meets on Fridays, and there's the Rotary Sunrise Club that meets on Wednesday mornings, nice and early. But they support a lot of local organizations, such as Why Not Youth Center, Lansdowne Children's Center, the Boys and Girls Club, and they're just an incredible group of people. And if anyone's looking for a way to give back to a number of organizations, very simply, check out the Rotary Club great people, lots of fun, and yeah, they make it very easy to give back.
I think almost everybody's heard of Rotary, but I have learned very recently that Rotary is an international organization. Anywhere you go, can you elaborate a little on that?
Yeah, so you're right. Rotary is right across the entire world. I'd pretty much, it seems like every city in the world has a Rotary Club. I don't think that's quite true, but yeah, what I've learned is there's, Rotary exchanges. So we had, a student, a high school student from Finland and from Brazil last year that were down, and two kids from Brantford. On the flip side, they go over to other countries for that experience. Then they're housed by Rotarians. Um, but Rotary's international, and they have a common goal in mind. And one of the big things would have started before our time was to eradicate polio. And I think polio is 99% eradicated from the world through the efforts of Rotary International. There's just a few countries that have some cases, and I think it's just the only challenge is just getting the immunization there. But they're a global effort that comes together to tackle some of the biggest challenges. So yeah, they're awesome.
It's amazing. You're gonna have to drag me out to a Rotary meeting.
For sure. Love to have you. Absolutely.
So we've reached the end of the episode, Andrew. So at this part, I like to give all of my guests, I know, I like to give all of my guests an opportunity to talk about how our listeners and viewers can be a part of your story. How can they follow you? What's your social media handle? How can they get involved? How can they reach out and have a conversation with you? Yeah, tell us everything.
That's kind of yeah. We're on social media, so we have a Facebook page. If you just are searching Facebook, Andrew Schwalm. So no, the last name's not easy to spell.
You got to spell that.
Yeah, SCHWALM, and you'll see Andrew Schwalm, Desjardins Insurance. We have the Facebook page. Maybe a little bit easier is my my business webpage, which is just andrewinsures.com, INSURES. And that has all my contact information over there. Even a button that you just hit a button, contact, and it'll send me an email. So.
Well, I know that I'm thankful for you, and we have had many a conversation over lunch, and I know your clients are thankful for you. I know that our community is thankful for all of the things that you do. You're great. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Oh man, not half as much as I appreciate it. And we got to find a good brisket sandwich on that note.
I can't wait. So for anybody who doesn't know the backstory there was an amazing restaurant in downtown Brantford called The Kitchen. And when Andrew and I first met, we would go and we would have the best brisket sandwich in the city. So if you know anybody who's serving up an amazing brisket sandwich right here in Brantford, let me know in the comments below. We have a whole lineup of guests for 2021, and I can't wait to come back for the next episode. And if you know anybody that I should be interviewing on the show, let me know. This is Off the Wall. I'm Joshua Wall. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.